national worth is 69 times more than that of black families. Given this disparity, how can you argue that racism is not a driving factor in income inequality?
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture. And when you have a culture that doesn't, and when you know what? Explain to me. You explain to me why black kids aren't graduating high school. Explain that one to me. Explain to me why black kids are shooting each other in rates significantly higher than whites are shooting each other. Explain to me why 13% of the population is responsible for 50% of the murder. Explain to me why the number of black kids in prison, not for innocent reasons, not for walking down the street and getting pulled into a prison, is so high. Explain, if it has nothing to do with culture, explain to me why the single motherhood rate in the black community jumped from 20% to 70% in the same course of time that the civil rights movement has made such tremendous strides. Is America more racist now than it was in 1960? And if it is, please explain to me how that happened.
This is why you need Marxism. This is why you need dialectical materialism and base and superstructure. Because what Ben Shapiro is trying to do is looking at some of the aspects of black culture in America and saying this is what's leading to certain economic results, right? This is what's leading to certain economic disparities. But we know, because of Marx's theory of base and superstructure, that the culture stems from the mode of production. And the mode of production and the culture both impact each other and act upon each other and condition each other is the best word to use, really. But you can't boil everything down to just the superstructure. You see culture up there as part of the ideology, right? And this largely stems from the base, right? The things that have led to racial economic disparities in this country, there are aspects of culture that affect it and condition the base, but largely they stem from the mode of production. You have redlining laws where black people were, put in more low-income houses as compared to white people. You had the black people being excluded from a lot of the most powerful unions in certain workplaces. You have the just blatant discrimination that we needed the civil rights movement to fight against. You have the war on drugs, where the police are in black neighborhoods arresting people for minor drug offenses and whatever else. And then people like Ben Shapiro are like, oh, what about the fatherless homes? What about the fatherless homes? Like the U.S. literally facilitated the sale of crack cocaine that was coming from the Contras in Nicaragua, from the U.S.-backed fascists in Nicaragua. And the CIA took that, gave it, or facilitated the sale of it to Rick Ross, this drug dealer in California, and put crack cocaine in pretty much every black neighborhood in America. And then started arresting them and taking fathers out of the home for doing crack cocaine. So that is the base, right? All of that stuff stems from the relations of production. Not to mention, and those are things in addition to exploitation, which is at the core of the capitalist mode of production, right? These are like racist, like add-ons, basically. So not only are black people exploited as the white working class is, but then there's all these racist policies like redlining and the war on drugs and the funneling of crack cocaine into black neighborhoods that lead to extra exploitation and that lead to extra poor economic conditions. And there's very few low-income neighborhoods where you have a hospital, a school, a community center, all these things. There's mostly just like fast food and liquor stores. This is a common problem that's been talked about. Again, this is a problem of infrastructure. This is a problem of the base, the economy. And these things have effects on the superstructure, on ideology and culture. But they're mostly stemming from here, from the material economic system, which is, a system built on slavery that emerged with slavery and, continued many, many racist policies to this day. So to look at the income inequality and economic inequality between white people and black people in America, and just like, this is all because of the culture of black people, like, you would have to be so stupid or so arrogant to be an intellectual and actually believe that, right? To look at all the literature and all the studies that have been done about systemic racism in the system, about redlining, about all these things, and just be like, nope, it's all the black culture. Like, you would have to be a moron to actually believe that. I don't know if Ben Shapiro does actually believe that. I mean, he probably actually does, but his funding is the reason that he falls into these opinions and that he says this stuff, right? He's funded by a bunch of billionaires who want him to distract from the fact that capitalism is the source of most of our societal problems, right? So it's a racist and easy talking point for him to say, nope, it's all just because of the way black people act, which that might be his most racist opinion besides saying that hip hop music isn't music, which you're a nerd, Ben. You are just a loser for saying that. But and again, that's another example of base and superstructure, right? Ben Shapiro's ideology is conditioned and stems from his economic interests. He wants to get a bunch of billionaire money shelled out to him, right? That's his whole goal. That's his whole business structure, as we're actually going to talk about later in the show. So that creates this racist, pro-capitalist ideology that's constantly using racism and other things to distract people from the fact that capitalism is the source of our problems. So this is why you need Marxism, folks. I just can't believe Ben Shapiro really said rap music isn't music. Like, you not only are you racist, but you're a loser. You're a loser. Like, none of your friends listen to rap music. You don't like bumping rap music? It's amazing. Rap music is so cool. Like, have you never done a sport or like tried to exercise or work out? What do you want to listen to? Like slow ass country? Like, no, put on some hip hop. Put on Kevin Gates. I don't get tired. I got 6 jobs.